good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Flatout Racing Network's coverage of the 64th season of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. Tonight, we set the playoff grid. It is our regular season finale, where we will determine at least 12 drivers, potentially more, that will be in the postseason with a chance of winning the Season 64 championship. It all comes to a head here tonight at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Michael Norman, Kyle Matthews, and guys, only officially 4 drivers are locked into the playoff grid. There are a number of drivers that look like they're comfortable points-wise, but there's about maybe a dozen or more drivers that have a shot of either moving in or falling out of that critical 12th position in the standings. And we had knockout qualifying here tonight. 2 drivers got sent home. It's a full field, so a lot of points are on the table.
Playoffs.
Yeah,
playoffs.
If only 4 people are locked in right now, there's your race. Just go to the start of the playoffs, next race, the final 4.
Is that your final 4 right there?
Yep.
Easy way right there.
It's just astounding to me. How many regular season races did we have?
7 so far.
And only 4 people are officially locked in?
So theoretically, so here's the reason why. We had a 2-time winner with Nofsker, so that took one of the wins off the board of a different driver. Bob Dixon right now is in the top 20 in points, but he's not in the top 12. So if he stays in the top 20, his win will lock him in, but he mathematically could still fall out of the top 20, and Joe DeSpiritu, who won last week, cannot mathematically get into the top 20. So right now, the only 4 that are officially locked in would be Schilling, Nofsker, Wesley, and Garrett, who all have wins and are inside the top 8 in overall standings. But there's drivers that are going to be coming into this race with a must-win mentality as well. So what does that do in terms of the racing we're going to see here tonight? Because we've documented it here the last 4 weeks, the last 2 times we've come to this racetrack. It's been really good. Like, it's been about the raciest we've ever seen BSR be here in the Talladega Challenge Series. And now, with a lot of drivers maybe going into desperation mode, we may end up seeing our best race yet here at this particular venue.
There's going to be a lot of aggression tonight. We've seen the aggression really pick up the last couple of weeks. I mean, some of the moves that have been made, they've been making moves and,
making moves, making $1 million.
I don't know about $1 million moves, but they've been making some aggressive moves, a lot earlier in the race than honestly I would have thought they would have done. So I think we're going to see an increase of that tonight with it being the last race before the postseason.
The 38's pace in the pass car.
Just throwing in the clutch there, already saving fuel. Playing a little bit of strategy games here before we even take the green. As mentioned, 41 drivers going to take the green here tonight. A couple of drivers, unfortunately, got sent home, including Greg Lovell and Jason Scheck. Your front row tonight is going to be Jeffrey Elliott and Rodney Sullins. Jeffrey Elliott will not be able to mathematically make his way into the top 20 with a victory, so he's just out there trying to get a checkered flag. Rodney Sullins, on the other hand, he's been on a good run as of late. Been able to work his way now up into the top 10, 9th in overall standings coming into this one. We're going to be talking an awful lot about drivers and their relative to the 12th in the standings cut line tonight, more than the points lead overall. But row 2 going to be Dunn LaPrade, Robert Breedlove, John Godfrey, and Richard Martin. They're back in row 3. Dante Ricky Cy Jones, row 4, and your top 10 complete with Billy Elliser and Josh Metallic. Tim Nofsker, he's one of the drivers we know is going to battle for the championship here in the playoffs. The defending champion, 2-time winner, is in row 6 with Mark Paglia. Brian Schilling, another driver that we know is confirmed, and he's also looking for the regular season championship. He's back in row 7 with Kelly Causey. Bobby Farrell, Ulysses Sandoval back in row 8. Row 9, another driver we know is locked in. Grant Wesley with last week's winner Joe DeSpiritu, and your top 20, Jessica Schulten and Glenn Harris. Back in row 11, Ron Hagelin, Denny Carroll. Graham McDonald, Jeremy Jeffries in row 12. Keith Bynum makes up row 13 with Pat McCarskey. Bob Dixon just has to stay in the top 20 in points, and he'd be locked into the playoffs. He's in row 14 with Bernie Mobbs. As I think we've got a restart coming up here.
Yep.
Somebody might have lost a gear here under pacing, so I could slow down a bit here on delivering the grid. We ended off with row 14. Row 15 going to be Terry Bombard and Craig Hagley. Row 16 will find Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
Man, a very long dramatic pause on that one, alrighty.
Of course.
And then Donnie Garrett, who is the other driver we know, is locked into the playoffs, back in 32nd. Row 17 going to be Mike Mangialardi and Dennis McCarthy. Row 18, Ken Roberts and Nate Balser. Row 19, Chuck McClure, Bob Seminara. Row 20, Brian Rawson and Javier Negron. And then the final 41st driver here tonight is going to be Doug Hulick. This reset actually helps in terms of me now being able to have a little bit of time as well to give what the scenarios are coming in tonight, because there's a lot of storylines we're going to be following dependent on where drivers are situated in overall points. So right now, it's a 2-horse race to see who's going to get those 15 valuable bonus points towards the playoffs by winning the regular season championship. Brian Schilling holds a 14-point advantage over Tim Nofsker. They're the only 2 drivers that can either gain or lose the points lead. Next driver is Grant Wesley. He's 44 points back. You can't make up that many points in one race. If we're looking around the cut line, Wesley sits in 3rd. Chuck McClure sits in 4th. Craig Hagley currently in the 5th position. I would say, based off of what we've seen and how many points can be gained in a race, I would say those drivers potentially, when we take the green flag, they're locked into the playoffs on points. The rest of these drivers, they need to finish somewhere up in the top 20. 6th place, Ulysses Sandoval. 7th, Mark Paglia. 8th place is Donnie Garrett, who's already locked in. 9th place, Rodney Sullins. If Sandoval, Paglia, Sullins finish in the top 20, I think that they are locked in on points. Then we get to the interesting scenario for other drivers. You've got a former champion in Jeremy Jeffries. He is currently only 12 points to the good above that 12th in the standings cut line. Another former champion in Josh Metallic. He sits 11th in points. Only 2 points to the good above the 12th in the standings cut line. And the driver that maybe has the most pressure coming tonight is that 12th in the standings driver, that being Mike Mangialardi. We mentioned Bob Dixon. He's got a victory. If he stays in the top 20, he's locked in. But other drivers looking to point their way up into the top 12 include Terry Bombard. He is -5. Dunn LaPrade. He is -8. Greg Palmer, -9. Kelly Causey, -10. Bob Seminara is only -17. Doug Hulick, -19. These are drivers that conceivably here tonight could even just finish in the top 15 if the other drivers ahead of them have a bad night, and they could find themselves in a playoff position. It's just so close, and I'm going to give the usual disclaimer that I give at the end of every regular season race. We're going to try to do our best, work the calculator, figure out here who is locked in, who is not after the green or after the checkered flag is taken. However, we are going to officially be able to announce who your playoff drivers are because, as mentioned, admins here at RTG very prompt in getting the export put in, getting the points calculated. We will announce who your playoff contenders will be by the end of this broadcast. All right, gentlemen, 66 laps. Strap in, this should be a good one. Jeffrey Elliott going to get the regular season finale underway here at BSR.
Bagada. Somebody missed the start.
A couple of drivers might have missed the start. Scoring's only showing 39 drivers cross the line to take the green. And we know 41 drivers were in the field.
Look and see if they've hopped on the racetrack yet.
Nope, not yet.
I think somebody was having a bit of an issue. That's what caused the initial restart there. And that...
Is the 43 on the racetrack?
Checking scoring
I think I heard
quick.
Somebody say the little birdie tell me that Demar was having issues with his mic, probably.
I do not see Richard Martin on the scoring. And that is a driver that comes into this race 20th in points.
God, look at all the
26 points outside of the top 12.
Look at all the shakiness going on. I'm not sure who exactly is in that mellow yellow scheme, but he's having a little bit of a twitchy problem.
That'd be Billy Elliser in that 26 car.
Kyle loves that scheme because it's mellow yellow. Isn't that right, Kyle? Great talk, Kyle.
See if Elliser stays there on that inside line with that side to side, or if they ask him maybe to drop back. Elliser 22nd in points. mathematically does have a shot of getting into the top 12, but he is 21 points back. Theoretically, I know we mentioned about the fact that there's 41 drivers scheduled in this race, but you kind of have to look at drivers 20 to 25 points back of those that realistically still have a mathematical shot, just based on the fact that points are always so close, and usually more often than not, drivers that are battling each other for positions in the standings find each other in the same area at the same time, and we've got trouble. Yep, I think the 26 of Elliser, when he was letting people by, was still down the apron going into turn 3, may have come up into traffic. And the caution is going to wave. Jeffrey Elliott going to bring us around here for the first yellow.
I was just going to say, we were talking about that 26 car, about him falling back.
Yeah. That is absolutely true.
Take a look and see what happened here.
Oh, look, the 43 is on track.
Yep, 43 has returned.
No, not Randy Wah. No,
Why, you're going to say the name and you're not actually going to put the thing at the end of it?
Not Mr. Luigi.
Just bear with us for a second here, folks. I did forget to set a hotkey. I'm going to set them real quickly here.
Wow, good job. And you call yourself a broadcaster?
No, I call myself a commentator.
I'm glad you said that, because I thought my internet was lagging on me here. I'm thinking, this is going to be good.
Yes, it's all on your end, Kyle. Fix it. All right, let's take a look here at what happened. There we go. We got the hotkey now.
Well, it's kind of hard to give up spots like you're going to the back if you're not going to at least let out of the gas before you do it. And then to just come up the track like that.
Yeah. Elliser was, it looks like, asked to drop back. And unfortunately, didn't fall back enough.
I did hear what you said earlier there, Michael. I do like that paint scheme on that 26. You are right about that.
Randy, Luigi. There's nowhere to go. Is that Bob Seminara?
That is Bob Seminara in the 712. Another driver looking to point his way in.
I keep getting him and Gilbert Godfrey mixed up.
Well, yeah, to be honest, that's not necessarily, you're not alone in that. Liveries are very similar. They're both 7-something, 711 and 712.
Yeah, I just keep getting them swapped, like number-wise.
Like, the only difference, I think, is Bob's got the chrome numbers.
I almost thought you were going to say Bob has the chrome dome. I was going to be like, Seth, how could you say that?
Bob the Biscuit.
Bob the Biscuit, can we eat it?
No, what have you done? Now that's going to be stuck in my head. Thanks, man.
I hope so. I am an evil, evil man.
So Richard Martin still sitting on pit road. He has not set a lap time. Looks like the other driver that missed the start was the 143 of Bob Dixon. And he has actually completed a lap now, but he is a lap down.
He should get the free pass here.
I think you're right. I was just going to say that. Remember, for Dixon, he's got a victory this season already, but he's not in the top 12 in points. So he's relying on a theoretical wild card to get him in, provided he stays in the top 20 in points. His scenario right now, between him and that 20th position in the standings, is 25 points. So technically, if Dixon can finish this race inside of the top 15, he's locked in no matter what. There's nobody that can displace him. I would go so far as to say if he finishes in the top 20, he'd be locked in as well, but then again, there's a lot of moving pieces that take place in superspeedway racing, so can't say anything officially in that regard, but top 15, he would absolutely be locked in.
Lap number 5, we're already seeing some pit stops under this caution.
Of course we will.
That was Chuck McClure pitting from the 7th spot. One of those that made the dive onto pit road. I mean, think about this too. I mentioned about the fact that now taking this green flag, Chuck McClure, Craig Hagley, they should be locked into the playoffs on points. They're two drivers that are yet to win a race this season, and each win that you get pays out 5 bonus points, I believe. It's either 5 or 3. I want to say it's 5 bonus points. So, knowing you've got the security of being locked into the playoffs already, now you can go outside the box in terms of strategy or be a little bit more aggressive to try and get that checkered flag in the regular season finale and carry those bonus points into the first round of the postseason.
And we've seen some of these races be decided because of some good pit strategy, like the first race that I helped broadcast with you guys here at BSR. We saw Bob Dixon, just a good timing of a pit stop, get him out front. And he ended up winning the race. We've seen a few races come down to fuel mileage as well. So, yeah, that could definitely help out a lot of people.
There you see Dixon on the outside coming around here. He should pull up next to the pace car, get his lap back.
These races have more than once come down to fuel mileage, so getting every drop of fuel you can under caution is going to be the benefactor for you. Also, I am ashamed to say I have discovered something so terrible that I'm going to have to show you guys after the podcast.
Oh, thanks for the warning.
It's so Seth, remember when we used to look up song mashups?
Yeah.
I found one that involves the Bee Gees and Gwen Stefani. It's called Stan, a Holla Back Girl.
Oh, okay. I'm scared.
You should be, because I'm...
Is it worse than the jokes you told last week?
Nothing can be as bad as the jokes you told last week.
Don't you say that, because I will say the one I sent Seth earlier today.
I will put us in a commercial break. Well, unfortunately, it looks like Billy Elliser will not be advancing into the postseason. The connection problems he had there and everything. I guess the internet connection problems too great. He actually came down pit road and he's retired from the event. Elliser had to point his way in.
He may have done that strictly because when falling back, he caused an accident too.
Could very well be. But regardless of the situation, he was right on the cut line of drivers that mathematically could point his way in. He was in a must-win situation to get himself into the top 20 to lock himself into a playoff spot via a wild card, but he is going to be the first driver that we will check off of our list of those that will not be eligible to advance into the playoffs.
We should be doubling up here, but I see the 41 refusing to go to the outside lane like he's supposed to be.
I've also noticed that for some reason, and I don't know why, our ticker is not showing up. Let me see if I can fix that.
It's too late. We already started.
Well, I have a feeling the only way I'd be able to bring it back is having to restart OBS. And that would bring down the stream. So that's unfortunate.
Well, we'll have to do it old school here, like an old school race back in the day when they didn't have a scoring ticker throughout the entire race. And, yeah, kind of fitting with these cars, too. So
it is. By the way, Devil Charger in our chat said, Bob the Biscuit, drop the Triscuit.
That's quite a rhyme.
Michael's not going to sing that one? Okay.
Nah. You don't tell me when to sing.
Well, we saw Richard Martin sitting on pit road, and I'm going to double check, but it looks like he may not even take the green flag here to complete a lap. I just noticed that he's actually disconnected from the TeamSpeak. He may be restarting something and coming back in, but we'll keep tabs on the former champion, another driver that was not locked into the playoffs, had to race his way in on points as we are back to green on lap number 8.
Jeffrey Elliott's led every lap of this race from the pole so far. Moves to the outside immediately on the restart.
Interesting the timing of this restart as well, because technically now, with going back green with 7 laps complete, it's a two-stop race. You can make it on 2 stops. You'd be right on the window on the second pit stop of being able to make it on a full fuel run, but at this point in time, you can make it on 2 stops if you're able to stretch the fuel to about 20 laps per run.
Which is why I say the fuel mileage, you always want to come in and top off regardless of track position, because you never know when that extra fuel can come in handy.
Donnie
Ooh.
Garrett to the inside now, looking for his second win on the season. Nofsker's the
2 in a
only
row.
one so far. No, it'd be 2 out of the last 3.
Oh, who won last week?
Despirito.
The 24.
Oh, okay, that was right. I forgot because I thought it was Donnie Garrett.
Nope,
Might
Garrett
have it
won
mixed up.
2 weeks ago.
But that was also when the 96 finished second.
That is correct. For the second, what was the second or third time this
I
season?
think it was the 3rd time this season.
Yeah.
Well, they're
Finished
3
second
by
to-
3. Looks like 3rd place on back here.
You know, I was going to make a comment and say that there's a certain number 88 car that hasn't made his way up there yet, but then I remembered there was a caution on lap 3.
And he's back there. See him with Jeffrey Elliott, Brian Schilling. They're in the middle line right now.
3rd lane trying to form up. That's going to break apart that middle lane.
Well, 29 car got
Ooh,
on the
gosh.
apron there. That was almost a big one.
That's
Mike
going to kill the
Mangialardi.
inside. That's going to kill the inside's momentum.
Mangialardi has mentioned that cut line driver, 12th in the standings coming into this race, and from what I can remember, ever since we started broadcasting
remember?
this series, sometimes, but Mike Mangialardi has never made the postseason.
This
And
guy
he's got a
stayed
shot of doing it here in season 64. As a matter of fact, as well, Mike Mangialardi's going up against Brian Schilling in the finals on the winner's side of the bracket here tonight. Highest finisher will take on the eventual winner of the loser's side of the bracket when we get closer towards the end of these playoffs. So it's Schilling versus Mangialardi here this evening.
This
I mean,
man,
seeing that Brian Schilling is yet to finish outside of the top 5.
Ooh, have you just enacted your first commentator curse of the night? Maybe second of your career?
he did.
Well,
He did.
we'll
We
see at the end of
initiated
the
you
thing.
last week.
Yeah.
But this time, listen, guys. The fact that this man, Seth Cole, stayed at my house for 8 straight nights and we still somehow walked out alive
We did.
is saying something. Yes, I didn't kill him and he didn't kill me.
What
At least-
it's saying is Michael realized that if I died, he was the one that was going to have to lead this broadcast, and he didn't want to do it.
He's done LaPrade looking for the race lead.
They left Elliott out to dry.
Done LaPrade, 15th in the standings, his first full-time season in the series.
You're a full-time season.
And there goes Paglia and Josh Metallic now up to the outside line. Dun LaPrade, Dante Ricky left on the bottom, full car length before you get back to helping Denny Carroll. That 3rd line was being led by Robert Breedlove. Look how far back they are now. Outside of the top 15 almost. We do have a driver that is majorly off the pace, and I noticed he came to pit road very early on under caution. Looks like some side to side there for our race leader. But Craig Hagley in the 82, I guess if you're going to have a bad night, better to have it now. There's actually damage on the right side of that machine. And I'm not
Craig
certain
Hagley.
exactly where that came from, when it happened, but he is almost 20 seconds behind the race leaders. But remember, as I mentioned, he, after taking the green, is locked into the playoffs on points. So, as I said, I guess if you're going to have a bad night, better to have it now with the point situation coming in rather than have it being a driver that was down around the cut line.
That 3rd line starting to come back here. Ulysses Sandoval is leading that outside line. No way trouble.
Big wreck, up and over goes Graham McDonald, Cy Jones in that,
Jessica Shelton,
Bob Dixon,
Javier
Javier Negron
Negron.
there as well. Graham's
Oh, I
going to
think-
end up upside down.
I think Javier was going to try to turn him back over, but he despawned in that moment.
Couldn't get to him in time.
Well, you know, guys, we're all racers here. What does it feel like to you guys when we despawn and suddenly appear back on pit lane like that? What does teleportation feel like to you guys?
Teleportation?
Shut up.
What is teleportation?
Instant transmission in Dragon Ball is what it feels like.
I'm trying to say teleportation, but my brain's not working.
I love me some teleportation.
Shut up.
Looks like it starts with Javier.
Jess, I think Jess just kind of spun. I don't think she really hit anything.
There may have been a stack up or something in front of that 40.
We've seen that a lot this season, and more particularly here at this racetrack with cars stacking up on that inside line.
Yeah, I don't, let's see. Well, I was going to say
That's Chuck McClure, looks like that's behind the 40. We'll take it back to turn 1, just see how things accordion up here.
Your turn 1.
Yeah, starts...
Well, yeah, right about there. No,
like Godfrey to Farrell to Javier, you could see it. And even 4 or 5 cars up.
Jess might have got just a little bit of contact from somebody, but I don't think she got a lot. And that just seemed like...
Optics and another one in there I just now noticed.
Could that have been like bumper... I don't want to say bumper grab, but like the hitboxes maybe?
It could have been?
Because it looked like the 17 was really on the back bumper of the 40, and it just, you know...
Take a look from the aerial view. Watch the 711
right
checks up, 92 checks up, 40 checks up.
111 almost got it too. Oh my gosh, the 4 Javier just got careened into by the flipping car.
There's just really not a lot of room between each car there. It's really hard to...
Oh, hey look, Matt is in our chat and he says Michael failed count 1. Guess what that means?
Don't you time him out. Yeah, Brian, our ticker is not working, and in order for me to be able to reset it, we would have to take down the broadcast and restart it. I would have to restart the broadcasting software. So unfortunately, we're running without the ticker here tonight, so apologies for that. I was going to double check and see about Graham McDonald's situation in points, and it looks like he came into tonight ineligible from advancing into the postseason. 33rd in the points, mathematically already eliminated. So he was going to be one of those drivers that would have just fit into the moniker of trying to go out there, get a checkered flag, be competitive here tonight. But unfortunately, that car is certainly going to be off the pace if he returns back onto the racetrack, and he's going to be a few laps down here having to call the tow. I mean, that car was upside down over in turn 2. And the way that the tow works, for people that aren't aware, is dependent on where you are on the racetrack. If you take that point to your pit stall and you calculate it by running pacing speed, which is 70 miles per hour, that is the amount of time that your tow translates to. So the closer you are towards turn 4, towards your pit stall, the better off you are with having a very low amount of time having to sit there in your pit stall for a tow, and you can start taking service. With being over halfway on the other side of the racetrack, it's going to be a pretty lengthy tow for the 33 before he can even start getting repairs done to return back out onto the racing surface.
Now I got more pit stops.
And as I mentioned, prior to that caution, when we went back green, we were going to then be able to make it on 2 more pit stops. This caution throws a spanner in the works and completely throws all those numbers out the window. We'll probably go back green somewhere around, I think, where these drivers would have had to consider making their first round of green flag pit stops had we been green from the start, which means that they would be somewhere around 7 laps short of making it the rest of the way on 1 more pit stop.
Matt, before you start, this is how I pay attention. This is ADHD me right now. This is how I stay awake and pay attention to this race when we're under caution.
Or tell bad dad jokes.
I mean, I could do that too.
ADHD, attention deficit, and high definition.
Like when I went to change my password, I realized I couldn't use beef stew because it wasn't stroganoff.
Here we go.
That's the 3rd time I've heard that joke. It hasn't gotten any funnier.
It has to me.
Maybe if I let that stew a little bit longer. Wow, that joke was so bad my dog left the room. Anyway.
I just tried driving the speed limit. They can't be for real.
Well, we got the opportunity here under caution. Give you guys a look at what's coming up ahead next week here on FRN. Wednesday night, we continue on the Esports Oval League Grind Cup Series. It's their first road course stop of the season. I'm looking forward to that one because I have never called a race yet on iRacing at the Chicago Street Course. So, looking forward to that one. I know there's some drivers that I talked to post-race. They're looking forward to it. Other ones, they just they want to get that week over with because they are not looking forward to it at all. But it'll be really interesting to see after the high action that we saw at the Atlanta Motor Speedway last night. Be sure to join us for that one next Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then the playoffs begin here in the RTG Talladega Challenge Series. We'll be at the high banks of Talladega Super Speedway to begin the first round of the playoffs. Playoff system, 2 races in the first round. We whittle it down to our Elite 8. Another 2 races. We then eliminate half the field down to our final 4. And the driver that accumulates the most points between the final 2 races will be the Season 64 Talladega Challenge Series champion.
Tell you, that's a test of time for this game and these guys here. 30.
Oh, yeah.
Is it 36 seasons?
What, for here?
Yeah, or 6. Sorry, not 36.
64.
I meant to say okay. I'm just gonna stop talking.
I believe that we started broadcasting this series back in the early 50s as far as the seasons are concerned.
Wow, we're all wait, hold on. Early 1950s?
Yes.
No, it's the 1850s.
No, I think it was season 52, maybe 53 when we first started broadcasting.
Yeah, season 1853.
1853.
I remember those days.
Listen, that's a testament to everyone in this field because we're just as old as these guys are.
Little interesting thing here, maybe put a bee in the bonnet for people looking forward to next season. Kyle, you were talking about before we came on the air.
Well, nothing's been confirmed yet.
Nothing
so,
confirmed?
Yeah, we can't really.
We could be TMZ. We can be partially correct.
Let's. TMZ gets a bad name. We don't want that.
It's the wrong 3 letters. All right, lights out on the Wiley Coat Tribute Pace Car. And we will be getting ready to go back green. Yeah, this is going to be right on the mark of when these drivers would have had their hands out the window saying, I got to come to pit road for fuel. Completion of lap 18 on to 19. So we're basically right back on the same strategy these drivers would have been on had we run these first 18 laps under green flag conditions. Dunn LaPrade going to be the one to get us back underway. Dante Ricky to his outside. Mark Paglia, Josh Metallic, and Ulysses Sandoval going to be your top 5. 37 drivers on the lead lap right now, out of 39 still scored running. Graham McDonald 1 lap down, Craig Hagley -2, and Billy Elliser currently out of the race.
LaPrade got the jump on the start, moves to the outside. That's going to open the door for the 28 car on the bottom.
Yeah, but the outside lane, or the middle lane's going to end up getting the run. People can hold it straight, but then again, don't count out Ulysses. He's a heck of a pusher.
Rodney Sullins right behind Sandoval. Been on a great streak as of late. Was a driver 3-4 races in that was outside the top 25 in the points. Now finds himself up in the top 10. As Robert Breedlove was trying to make something happen there. Nobody wanted to go to that 3rd lane. He now finds room, I believe that was right behind Grant Wesley. Paglia leading that inside line. He's 7th in points coming into this one. 2 top 5s on the season. Those are his only top 10s so far as well. Was a multi-time winner a couple of seasons ago, has regularly made the playoffs and looking to do it once again. As
And there's
caution's
caution.
out.
Oh, what happened
somebody,
here?
Somebody blew up in the back there.
Unless it was a car on pit road still.
That car on pit road's the 82 of Hagley.
Let's look at him and see what happened.
I think it might have been the one car that blew up, I'm being told.
Oh, wow.
Jeremy Jeffries.
And you're right, I just looked at scoring. And the one car's off the track, out of the race, engine valve, and that could be Jeremy Jeffries' playoffs going up in smoke, both literally and theoretically, because he came into this one 11th in points.
Way to rub salt in the wounds.
In the runes?
In the runes. Again, I'm just gonna stop talking. I'm just here, guys.
I'm trying to remember, is this not the second time this season that Jeremy Jeffries has had an engine failure?
It did. He blew up a couple of weeks ago at Talladega late in the race that brought out that final caution.
Man, Jeremy Jeffries, a few seasons ago, he was a champion in the series. He had won championships in just about every series except this one. Finally had been able to break through. But it has just not been his season here in season 64, as there you saw it.
And
Engine let's go on that Monster Energy Ford.
And a very rough race last week, was involved in 4 different incidents, and it's looking to bounce back tonight. Not going to happen, unfortunately, for him.
He came into this one, as mentioned, 10th actually in the point standings, and he was only 12 points to the good. He's going to finish this race at least in the 38th position. We're waiting to see what is going on with the 82 of Craig Hagley. If Hagley's able to get out there and complete 5 laps, that will drop Jeremy down to 39th. I think it's pretty safe to say, though, we are going to see drivers be able to leapfrog him into the top 12, and he will more than likely be eliminated from advancing into the postseason this year. Tough break there for Jeremy Jeffries, but while it's going to be a tough break for him not battling for the championship, I'm just going to say this right now. Keep an eye on that one car in these final 6 races, because when you don't have the pressure of having to go out there and accumulate points to advance into the next round, that can open up the door for you to be really aggressive and try and end out the year with a number of checkered flags.
Yeah, when you got nothing to lose, why not?
We saw Joe DeSpirito last week do that very thing. Knew that he was mathematically, even with a win, not going to be able to run for the championship. And when we talked to him post-race, he said, "Yeah, I'm gonna continue doing that. I'm going out there, just trying to win." So we're gonna be a third of the way through this race when they complete this upcoming 22nd lap.
And look who's up in second place, Randy. Wow, Luigi.
Question is, how long does he stay up there? Like these drivers that stayed out.
Oh, I'm sure some of them will come down pit road with when they're coming to 1 to go. And there's no one to lap down, right? At the moment?
Yeah, Graham McDonald's a lap down. He'll get the free pass, and then the second lucky dog should go to Craig Hagley, but I think he's still sitting on pit road.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's going on with the 82. He had that right side damage. He was off the pace. He's back on pit road.
Not much sure either, however.
But Graham McDonald, who was upside down over in turn 2.
He was upside down.
He's gonna get the lucky dog, so he will be back on the lead lap. He's coming to pit road here on this second lap of caution, and it looks like most of the drivers that stayed out are going to continue to stay out. 11 drivers in total electing not to come to pit road here under our third yellow flag.
I'll be surprised if they don't pit this next lap.
Think they're coming down the 1 to green?
The way everyone's been with fuel here the last few weeks, I would be surprised if they didn't.
Well, we told you about the battle in the bracket series on the winner's side. Let's take a look at what's going on the loser side of the bracket. An opportunity for drivers to still get into the finals to compete against either Mike Mangialardi or Brian Schilling. That gets determined tonight. Glenn Harris looks like, at least for right now, he will be advancing as he was taking on Craig Hagley, who's had some issues this evening. Tim Nofsker, who ended in coming into this bracket challenge as the number one seed, he is taking on Rodney Sullins. Richard Martin, who we've documented, he didn't even complete a lap here. Looks like that will allow Doug Hulick, who he was facing, to advance. And then Bob Dixon, who most recently, under the second caution, got back on the lead lap. He will be advancing because he was taking on Billy Elliser, who is retired out of the race. So the only battle right now that we know for certain is still up for grabs is Nofsker versus Sullins. Should get the 1 green signal this time by. Let's see if you're right, Kyle, and if these drivers make the dive. I'm noticing a lot of these front runners, they're clutching.
Wait, was it Kyle that said that, or I thought I was the one that said they would come down with 1 to go?
Somebody said it.
Maybe we both did. I know I did, but you may have mentioned it too.
I think we both did,
Brian
yeah.
Rawson is coming down, and he's going to be the only one.
That
Okay,
Bill Elliott throwback Budweiser car.
So it's more of a Darrell Waltrip throwback, actually.
Is it Darrell Waltrip? Oh no, you're right. Because when Bill took it over, it was all red.
Yep.
That's right.
Darrell Waltrip, Terry Labonte also had that paint scheme back in the late '80s.
It's funny how we talk like we were alive in the late '80s. Can you imagine?
I watch enough old races on YouTube.
I know, right? All-time favorite race, Kyle, go.
1997 Daytona 500.
Seth? Same question.
All-time favorite?
Yep.
That I watched?
Yep.
Probably 2011 Daytona 500.
Well, I mean, I don't think that you would have a favorite race that you didn't watch.
That's true. Well, no, actually, that's not true. I do have a favorite race that I didn't watch, and that would be the 2007 Coke 600. I didn't get to watch it live.
Oh, yeah, that's
My buddy
right.
calls me up the following day, says, "Hey, did you get to see the race?" "No, I didn't." "Did you listen to it on the radio?" "Nope, didn't get to do that either." "Who won?" "Casey Mears." "No, come on, seriously, who won?" That was literally my reaction. He's like, "No, I'm serious. Casey Mears ended up winning." I'm like, you kidding me?
JJ Yaley was second, Kyle Petty was third. Okay,
Yep.
Now I know you're messing with me now.
Yeah, did we run it through like a sim or something with AI cars for that finishing results?
So this is going to be a very easy question for Seth since he already kind of gave it to us, but I'll reiterate the question. Kyle, what's your favorite race that one of your favorite drivers won, other than the 97 500?
1995 Bristol night race.
That the one? Is that where Earnhardt wrecked Labonte, but
And
Labonte
Terry
won
still
anyways?
won.
And Terry won, yeah.
Yeah. For me, it would have to be the very first race I ever went to live, which was the 2003 Bud Shootout, to watch Dale Earnhardt Jr. win that race.
Yep.
All right, as we're getting ready to go back green here.
Well, if we end up talking to our race winner tonight and ask them what their favorite race was, they'll probably say this one. Paglia gets us back under the green. Randy Waugh
Luigi.
to his outside. Jeffrey Elliott, Denny Carroll.
Oh, Randy didn't get a great restart, so the Paglia is clear.
They also had
Does
Causey,
Randy
Breedlove,
Waugh-
Roberts, McClure, and Nofsker. Those are also Seminara. Those are the 10 that stayed out.
Does Randy Wall know you call him that?
Luigi?
And if so,
He does.
Is he okay with it?
He does. As a matter of fact, he has told me on numerous occasions that his grandson, Corey, who, if you're watching tonight, welcome, Corey. Good to have you here. Loves it when Michael calls him Randy Waluigi.
His victory speech is just wham.
Short and sweet.
Oh, boy,
Four
they got-
wide. Hello.
I think somebody got the wall right there, but kept it going.
That was Chuck McClure. It was just enough room for a car to be able to fit in there. Breedlove, who was in the
I
middle
like
of
how
that
you said
4 wide
just
dropping
enough.
back, and
Just,
Denny
I
Carroll
like
going to
how-
as well.
I like how you said just enough room, but this track is really wide.
Well, it is, but when you're 4 wide coming off of turn 4, I guarantee you it narrows up very quickly. I
They're
mean, we've seen
testing how
drivers
wide this place is.
we've even seen drivers at Talladega. Man, Chuck is on a mission. But we've seen drivers at Talladega, they'll catch a lap car while going 3 wide and go 4 wide, and it's led to some cautions in this series, so. Especially when you've got those cars on the inside line that push up off the corner.
Well, the 17, and I think that's a 36 in front of him right there. A lot of aggressive bump drafts, but it worked out so far.
But aggressive goes around.
Trying to make that middle line go. But that third line there to their outside, kind of drawing them back, helping the inside line. Top 5 now clear.
How easy is it to be patient at a track? Oh my gosh, okay, let me ask that again without having a heart attack. When seeing all them switch lanes like that, is how easy is it, or not easy, depending on how your preference, for having patience to get around and try to get yourself to the front and when you're in a pack like this?
Well, I'll answer that twofold.
In the form of a riddle?
One, it's not easy in the regards that if you're just riding, like we see these drivers up here at the front, there's more chance of the possibility of checkup, which we've already seen lead to a wreck here tonight. The second thing as well, and I can't necessarily attest to the setup they have here at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, but I have raced in other series when they race at Talladega with the setup that they have. And their setup allows for what we call the suck up, the ability to be able to get a run when you're in the draft. It's huge. Like, you get a massive, massive tow, and you want to take that somewhere. You don't want to just draw up to the back of the car in front of you and then just start dragging the brake or lifting off the throttle. You want to take that run somewhere. So it is very difficult because every fiber of your being says, make a move. It's very difficult to be patient when you're in that type of a scenario. As we see a great run here on that top side, Josh Metallic now going to lead a lap with help from Rodney Sullins. And I talked with Josh just before they ended up getting ready for the random qualifying draw, and he comes into this race in a precarious 11th position in points. He said, I just got to survive tonight. He seemed pretty nervous with his situation.
Who else is around it? Well, yeah, because he hasn't really been having the greatest couple of races.
Only one top 5, 2 top 10s here in these first 7 races.
But who is around him in the points?
Right now, you've got Mike Mangialardi, Bob Dixon, Terry Bombard. One driver he would not have to worry about is Jeremy Jeffries, who was 1 position ahead of him. Jeremy out of the race with the engine failure. And look who's making his way on that inside line, Michael.
Grant Wesley.
About halfway through, and here he is.
Told you, it doesn't take him very long.
You know, back to Michael's question about, like, you know, how hard is it to move up or, you know, to move up through the field? At least for me right now, it would be pretty easy to be patient. I wouldn't really worry about trying to get up there right now. Just the way, you know, not even halfway through the race, just try to be patient and try to get up there when it truly counts.
That's a question we got to ask Grant too, because 9 times out of 10, Grant always starts in the back. So, that's
something he's got to take up with the random generator.
Yeah, so it'd be nice to ask him how his patience is when it comes to trying to get up to the front.
Let's see, where did he start this race? He started from, if I can find him here,
I want to say it was probably
17th.
back in the... Wasn't? Okay, that wasn't that far back. That's about middle of the pack right there.
If we're looking at the driver that's picked up the most spots since the drop of the green flag, it'd be that 17 of Chuck McClure. He started in 38th. Actually, check that, 37th, and he's now up in 3rd. But again, remember, though, too, there are 10 drivers that we're keeping an eye on here that stayed out under that last yellow. So they're going to be about, I would say, 4 to 5 laps shorter on fuel than everybody else that came to pit road. If we end up continuing to run green, they're going to have to make a green flag pit stop sooner than most of the drivers in this field. They may draw some others to pit road with them, but they are going to have to pit a lot sooner than about the other 2/3 of the field would be able to go. Oh, no! wreck. They saved it, and there they go. That's Nate Balser, Cy Jones, and it's a massive pile up off of turn 2.
Oh, the 4 is in it.
Godfrey, Schilling, McCarskey, Shelton, Mangialardi, both of our drivers in that finals for the bracket series, and we're still wrecking back here.
Schilling might not have gotten a lot of damage, but that could hurt his potential for top 5s.
So the first car I saw get out of shape was, I think, Ulysses Sandoval. He saved it. Breedlove ended up getting spun. And then Balser got spun, and it was his slide up the racetrack that blockaded everything, and a bunch of drivers got collected up in this one. The biggest wreck we've had so far here tonight, bringing out our 4th caution.
Javier and them were just hanging in the back.
Yeah, they were way back there. So let's jump. I want to go to the 96 first, then we'll try to quickly jump back to the 931, because 96 was the first one I saw get out of shape.
I think it was another stack up.
Yep, right there. I thought that was the wreck. Then Breedlove gets turned. And then Balser gets turned off the nose of, I think that was Glenn Harris, and just look at this. Oh, man. Big hit for Ron Hagelin. Dennis McCarthy back there. Bobby Farrell in the middle of this. Doug Hulick. Oh, and then these drivers, you talked about that trio that were back there. I think they came flying in.
I would think they'd have to have.
Graham McDonald, Javier Negron. I think the other driver in that group was
Yeah.
Bob Dixon. Yeah, look at this. What kind of speed were they carrying?
About 180. Oh, you see him start to slow down a little bit.
They're still in the throttle. Now they're on the brakes. They were carrying 180 out of turn 2.
So we go on board with somebody. Go on board with that that Darrell Waltrip car.
Could be Graham McDonald. Let's listen to how soon they get out of the throttle here. So Javier checks up right there.
Jess got nailed, and then she got nailed again when he came back down, so Jess's day might be done as well.
I'm not sure why they were carrying that much speed with a wreck there in turn 2 and onto the back straightaway. I want to look from the 92 of Bobby Farrell, because he was in the middle of it, but I don't think he, well, I was going to say I don't think he was involved that much, and I think the onboard is going to show the opposite of that. Oof. I think the front tires might have come off the ground. All right, well, if Kyle has initiated his second commentator curse, then we're going to use this as a point of reference of where it may have happened. Bob Dixon's top 5 streak. Let's see how much damage he might have had here.
You know, I think he's okay.
I think he is too. I think he may have just gotten hooked. Harmless little spin. That's the most damage that you're going to sustain in the big one. I think he's okay. We'll have to wait until they get up to full song to see who's up to speed, who is not. Jeffrey Elliott on pit road. Our pole sitter. A couple of drivers diving onto pit road here as well. We're past the halfway point. Again, the timing of this yellow making things interesting in terms of the potential final pit stop if it takes place under green, because right now, let's say we end up going back green. I don't think we'll go back green on lap 36. No, it looks like we'll go back green on lap 37. So that'd be with about 30 laps to go. That puts us around 10 laps short of making it to the finish on one more pit stop. That's also, though, that battle that we talk about when it comes to fuel strategy of can you stretch it far enough to only take on 1 can of fuel, or do you need the extra insurance of that extra half can, which could be 1 or 2 extra seconds on pit road?
Every second counts. I feel like what's more dangerous to you, coming down pit road under caution with everybody, or coming down pit road under green with half the field?
Under green.
Or you think even under green it's still pretty dangerous, because
Yeah.
even with everybody under caution, you have a higher chance of running into somebody when you're trying to come out of your stall.
I feel like you'd have a better chance of somebody running you over coming down pit road, like somebody not getting on the brakes in time.
Well, the
What
thing of
about
it
you,
is,
Seth?
too, if it happens under caution, then you can catch up to the field. It happens under green, caution's not going to come out, and you're basically screwed. You don't have a chance of being able to catch back up. You lose all that time. So I think it's more dangerous doing it under green.
That's fair.
Update on some of the drivers that will not reach the conclusion. Another one added to the list is going to be Javier Negron. He's out of the race, finishing in the 37th position. Jeremy Jeffries is officially going to finish in 38th, as Craig Hagley did not get back on the racetrack after we saw him sitting on pit road for a good period of time. Hagley will get credit for 39th, and Billy Elliser in 40th. Also not scored will be 41st place, and that's going to be Richard Martin. As of right now, 4 of the 5 drivers out of this race will not be advancing into the postseason. Craig Hagley should have enough points between him and the 12th in the standings cut line to be able to advance despite the DNF, but again, as mentioned, we don't have a live points scoring in front of us. We're not able to see positions change based off of running positions, so we will have the official word at the end of the night. We cannot officially say that Craig Hagley is going to be locked in on points, but at this point in time, just kind of doing the quick math, which in my case is about 50% accurate 10% of the time.
Using Steiner math, huh?
Yeah.
Good
Lord. As of right now, looks like he would be locked in.
He would have 157.6% chance.
32 points is what it's showing Hagley had over the cut line. And he finishes in 39th. So there's about a 7-point buffer that could flip one way or the other of Hagley being eliminated. So a lot of drivers that he's got to worry about finishing up inside of the top 10 would include drivers like Mike Mangialardi, Bob Dixon, Terry Bombard, Dun LaPrade. One driver that he will not have to worry about, I noticed now, is not in the field, is Greg Palmer. Palmer had a shot to be able to point his way into the postseason, but he's not in the field tonight. Kelly Causey, who we saw almost pull off a victory a few weeks ago, but couldn't make it on fuel in the final stages of pacing. He's still got a mathematical shot, as does Bob Seminara. And Doug Hulick did get involved in that last incident. I don't know how badly he hit the inside wall. The car in front of him, Ron Hagelin, clobbered the inside wall, so we'll see if the 23 is still up to speed or not. As we're getting ready to go back green, going to be 30 laps to go here in tonight's regular season finale. Josh Metallic going to lead us back to the stripe. Saw Jeffrey Elliott on pit road. He's still sitting in his stall. Currently 3 laps down, so not certain what's going on with the 56 who started this race from the inside of the front row.
Oh boy, a bit of a
Still side
38
by
into
side
the
here.
39. That was
Big shoves.
a good save there by Metallic, but that's going to open the door for Grant Wesley on the bottom to take the lead potentially.
I wouldn't count out that outside lane off the corners, though.
Only got 5 cars up there, though, and then 3 wide further back, putting Bob Seminara in the middle. Now Garrett will jump to the top side.
I think
That will bring the momentum back to that middle line.
The Pratt did too.
Looking back there in the field as the drivers start to get up to full song. Looks
These
like,
cars still have one more pit stop.
yep. Which right now, based off of when we went back green with everybody pitting under this most recent caution, would be somewhere around lap 55 to 58.
Oh boy. Here comes that other Mountain Dew car up on the third lane.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned Ken Roberts' name yet tonight. Third car there behind Kelly Causey and Randy Waugh.
Luigi, let's see if Kyle can tell the difference between those schemes, though.
Well, he'll be able to now after.
One's Gatorade. That's the 88.
Oh yeah, that's right. Gatorade, and then that's a Mountain Dew.
So the reason that Michael brings that up, Kyle, is because I had a heck of a time back in the day of being able to tell Grant and Ken's cars apart. I would call one the other name and vice versa. So much so that Rodney Sullins had to go and make an edit to Ken's car, making the number different so that way I could tell the two cars apart on the racetrack.
Wow.
This guy, I swear, sometimes you don't know what to expect from Mr. Seth Cole.
Which again, I know they say this every week, but shout out to Rodney Sullins, who makes sure that we end up having the newly uploaded paint schemes to be able to have them here on our broadcast. A number of drivers running some new cars here tonight, including Keith Bynum, new livery on the 63, Denny Carroll, new livery on the 41, and I believe Javier Negron also was driving a new car. As no love for the 88 Grant Wesley.
Oh, man.
All by himself on the bottom as the field thunders by in the middle line.
That is what you call getting hung out to dry.
Dante Ricky now going to be out in front as, whoa, Chuck McClure. Big move to the inside of Joe DeSpirito for second place. Dante part-time schedule.
Dante stayed with them, didn't go down the block.
Sandoval's going to go to the outside there.
LePrad thinking about it.
And Chuck McClure, who is the highest running driver in the points without a victory, the former champion, now out in front, looking to gain himself 5 bonus points towards the playoffs, locked in on points as, whoa, we nearly had contact back there around Keith Bynum and Doug Hulick. They settle it out, but almost ended up having our 5th caution of the evening as they were 3 wide middle of the pack. There's the 4 of Brian Schilling after getting a slight piece of the last incident. And Mike Mangialardi up on that top side there as well. Couple of cars back. Looks like those two still up to speed, still in the hunt for taking home the winner's side of the bracket challenge here this evening. .30 drivers right now, 31 drivers up to speed in this lead group. Few stragglers back there, Pat McCarskey and Robert Breedlove. Further back, Graham McDonald and Nate Balser, just trying to finish out this night with wounded race cars. 35 drivers on the track, running all 35 in the lead lap. Jeffrey Elliott still sits on pit road. Actually, correction, he's just returned to the racetrack, albeit 6 laps down. Here comes that middle line. Dunlaprad leading the charge. Help from Sandoval, Causey, Roberts, and others. They've gotten up to at least side-by-side for 4th. Now to the right rear quarter panel of Tim Nofsker for 3rd off of turn 4.
Yeah, we should see them getting the run on the middle lane there. We'll see how long they can keep it. We're still about 10 or so laps away from pit stops again.
And with that being said, I almost wonder if maybe those drivers on the bottom will still stay committed to the yellow line despite the fact they could get past, because They want to establish the inside line here and now in preparation for those potential green flag pit stops rather than having to fight their way down to the bottom later on.
Lap car up ahead, our pole sitter.
He'll get out of the way, get to the outside, and
Yeah, look at the
Pratt gets a nice push there from Ulysses Sandoval.
LaPrade will clear. Sandoval will as well. Causey almost clear of the 17 as they make their way through the tri-oval. More drivers vacating that inside line, jumping up to the middle. We saw Grant Wesley right there, just past the start-finish line, shift from the bottom to the top. Keep an eye on that inside line, middle of the pack here on this outside line, because I'm seeing a lot of drivers get some nice runs on the straightaway, and that could lead to potential checkup on the entry to the corner. It's been an Achilles heel at both Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway and Talladega.
Achilles.
Achilles.
Achilles! Silence, Achilles!
That's what I was waiting on.
Well, Seth, I know we still have about 11 laps to go, but look who's sitting in second place for what could potentially be the fourth time, man. I'm telling you.
Don't manifest that. He will not.
I think he's going to be a little tired of finishing second.
Yeah.
And we have about 20 laps to go, actually.
Well, you know what? I can't count, so.
I think he's got the number 11 stuck in his head because he's thinking to the pit stop.
Yeah, I was.
But guess what? There's another 10 laps to run after that.
Pulls out a blunt and force object.
And, you know, we haven't gotten to that point yet, but, you know, just kind of thinking ahead, we talk so many times when we get down towards the end of these races about the money stop, the pit stop that is going to, in a sense, determine who's going to have a shot at the victory. Think about the gravity of the situation on this upcoming pit stop if it takes place under green, because your season, your playoff hopes could be hanging on how well you execute this pit stop. It could be the difference between advancing your way into the playoffs, even by just maybe 1 or 2 points, or being 1 or 2 points outside of said window.
By the way, Birdie in my ear told me that she was only recommended a can and a half.
Okay.
So if they come in with about 10 to go or something, that's about a can right there.
Well, that's what's interesting, because she's running towards the back of the pack, so she'd be one of those drivers that would be able to drag the brake a little bit, save a little bit of fuel, and if it's recommending even for her a can and a half, that says to me everybody's going to have to go with a can and a half. I wondered, based off of around when we went back green and the number of laps we would have left in the race, if maybe some drivers could think about only taking on a can of fuel, but I don't think that's going to be the case here. Wow. What is happening here? I think we had drivers trying to get down to the inside line, and it stacked a bunch of drivers up. Mark Pagley was down on the apron. We were 3 wide for a moment. We fortunately have gotten that settled out, but now look at how it's scattered that middle line. There's only 6 cars up there, and they're not all nose to tail. With recommended can and a half, too, that makes things interesting, where if they would have to absolutely take on a can and a half of fuel, they could then come to pit road as soon as the next 3 laps, rather than staying out for another 8 laps or so. So some drivers might actually undercut here and pit with around 15 to go, rather than stretch it to 10 laps remaining. Because you would still spend the same amount of time on pit road if you're taking on a can and a half of fuel on both scenarios.
Gonna have to wait and see.
And think about the fact, too, I mean, last couple of races, we've ended up having to end under yellow.
User in your
We've
channel
ended up
timed out.
passing that point of no return, so we don't know for absolute certain what lap we are necessarily racing to. That could also play a factor into when you make that final pit stop.
Yeah. I almost thought the caution was out, but
Oh, here we go.
Green. Oh boy, here we go. Keep an eye on this one.
Oh, we're wrecking.
Oh no, the 96 got spun.
And there's a bunch of them piling in. This is going to completely mess up this pitting group. Sullins missed the pit road entry. Sandoval went around. McClure's in this.
I think McClure overshot his hot pit entry and got into the back. of Ulysses.
Josh Metallic, I think, is the only one of this group that's going to actually be able to get to his pit stall, but he's going to have nobody to help him. Donnie Garrett right up against the pit wall there.
User was moved to your channel.
Technical difficulties.
And here comes the second group. Oh, man. Can they be cleaner on pit road entry than the first group was? It looks like they were.
3 wide.
Oh, man, this is not good if somebody's trying to get to a pit stall here.
See, and this is what I don't understand. You got to have some type of respect at this point.
Oh, shoot. Okay, I was noticing the 88 and the 24 side by side, and I just looked at our starting lineup, and they started right beside each other, so I knew their stalls were going to be close.
I still think you've got to have respect for each other at that point. You know? Because just let off the gas for a split second, let the person go in front of you if they're in front of you. I mean, I know it's all about that, but I mean, come on.
I'm not going to argue because I was in a situation like what you're describing a few weeks ago. Here comes another group of drivers onto pit road. Terry Bombard, Jessica Shelton, Brian Ross and Glenn Harris, Ron Hagelin and Dennis McCarthy. I believe that's the last really of our lead lap machines that are yet to pit.
Dennis Hamlin.
I think this might be where you'll see the race lead cycle around to, this group being led by the 74 of Dunn LaPrade. They can all make it on fuel now at this point in time.
I'm surprised we actually had green flag pit stops.
Well, they won't have to come to pit road any longer outside of repairing crash damage.
Apparently, Bob Seminara, when he was coming down pit road, told everybody the 7012 was coming down pit road.
The 7012?
7012, yes,
all
7012.
Right. Matt, if you're still watching, you've got work to do. Your triple digit's been trumped by a 4-digit number. Now, the 74 is the first car up to speed, but some of these other drivers, they're going to come out either just ahead or latch on to the tail end of this group. Terry Bombard and Brian Rawson, I believe, up ahead of them as well. Oh, Rodney's coming back in. I think actually he's now making his pit stop. Remember, he missed pit road entry. Bernie Mobbs completing a stop. Where's the 39? Because he and Sandoval were all by themselves coming off of pit lane.
There they are.
There they are. 18th is where Josh just crossed the line. Sandoval going to cross in 20th.
Caution is what's going to save them.
Yep. We'll wait for scoring to update, but it looks like... Oh, we're going to have a car coming to pit road here in a minute. 55 Ken Roberts, black flag, speeding on pit road. And there you see the Mountain Dew machine diving onto pit lane. So it looks like 11 or 12 drivers will be up in this lead pack potentially. We'll wait till they hit the stripe here. Should cycle the lead to Dunn LaPrade, which it does. Bob Seminara is the caboose on this train.
There's one car I'm noticing that's in this lead pack.
I wonder who that is.
Yeah.
He's in 6th right now.
Oh,
and
yeah.
If he pulls off finishing the top 5, I'm going to go back and I am going to try and look And see, I do not believe any driver has ever finished in the top 5 in every single regular season race. The biggest streak
Now
I can
imagine-
remember that we had was having 10 different drivers win 10 different regular season races.
Now imagine he finishes 6th by mere inches.
Ugh.
I'm going to tell him Kyle Matthews jinxed him.
All right, so we have 10 drivers in this lead group. LaPrade, Ricky, Causey, Wesley DeSpirito, Schilling, Carroll, Waugh,
Luigi.
Bombard, and Seminara. Right now, in this lead group, you got a second group about 5 seconds, 5.5 seconds back that I don't think they've got enough numbers to be able to catch up. Pretty much everybody outside of the top 10 are hoping for a yellow flag here with enough time for an in-regulation restart to have a shot at this thing still. But Dunn LaPrade, the situation he came into, 15th in points, 8 points below the cut line, his first full-time season, and he's got a shot of making it into the postseason. Kelly Causey, looks like he could be in good shape. He was only 10 points below the cut line. He's running in 3rd. Denny Carroll was 24th in the standings. He was 41 points below the cut line. I'm not certain even a top 5 would be able to get him into the top 12. However, if he wins this race, he was only 15 points outside of the top 20 in the standings. So
he's got different ways to get in.
yeah, so I think it's a must-win situation for the 41, but he's up here with a shot at it. Randy Waugh,
Luigi.
believe he was mathematically eliminated coming into this race. Yes, he was. He was 41st in points coming into tonight. Terry Bombard back there making a move. Terry came into this one 14th in points. He was only 5 points below the cut line, so he looks like he's in very good shape to point his way into the top 12. And Bob Seminara, currently around the 8th position. He was 18th in points coming into this one, 17 points below the cut line. If he finishes up inside of the top 10, he may have a mathematical shot of advancing in to the postseason as well. So a lot of drivers up here in this league group do not want to see a caution, because they're sitting pretty, at least at the time being, of advancing into this season's playoffs.
Absolutely.
Ron Hagelin going to go a lap down. Same for Chuck McClure. Couple of drivers out of the race. We saw Ken Roberts came down pit road to serve his black flag penalty. Looks like he may have gotten another speeding penalty. It did not clear his black flag, and he has since been disqualified.
Who?
Nate Balser also out of the race.
Who was it that got disqualified?
Ken Roberts.
Oh, wow.
So 34th place right now is where Ken scored. Nate Balser 35th.
I wonder if maybe he had a stop and go and just did a pass through.
Maybe did a pass through, yeah. Could potentially be that. Could have also been he might have sped again coming down to serve his initial black flag. So now Chuck McClure, Ron Hagelin going to mesh with this group. They're going to be some proverbial X factors that could help offer some drafting help to drivers at the tail end of this group that might try and make a move here late. Here's the second group of drivers. This is 11th on back with Bynum, Mobbs, Harris, Shelton, and Farrell as they're trying to catch up to the lap car of Doug Hulick. Group number 3 with Metallic, 16th place and 11th in points. I also just noticed Ulysses Sandoval was clutching right there. I wonder if he took on just a can of fuel to make up time after that incident on pit road. If he did. He might not be able to make it. He's even clutching on the back straightaway. I think he took a can of fuel on there. That's
Forced to.
Yeah, might have.
Forced to, and it didn't even really help him out that much.
Well, I
No.
mean,
I think he's hoping for a caution.
hoping for a caution. He was 6th in points coming into this one. A lot of drivers around that cut line have had some issues here tonight. He may still be able to point his way into the postseason, but if he runs out of fuel here in the closing stages, he's going to fall at least to 29th at least. That depends on if lap cars pass him as well. He potentially could fall all the way down to 33rd. And his buffer to the cut line coming into this one was 34 points. Grant Wesley to the inside of Kelly Causey. I was just about to ask, how long do you wait? Because we've passed that point of no return, gentlemen. Next flag ends this race. If a caution comes out, we're racing back to the start finish line. The race is going to end under yellow unless we make it around to the white. And too many times we've seen the timing of cautions not allow drivers the racetrack available to be able to make a move. I think Grant realized that with a little less than 3 to go, tried to jump to the inside, and everybody ahead of him noticed that, and they jumped down there to block.
I was about to say, I can't imagine everybody just running single file to the end here, especially when everybody's going to go on fuel.
Grant's going to lead the charge up top. Top 3 notice. They'll move up to cover. Now DeSpirito will be leading the inside line, side by side for 3rd. If you're LaPrade, if you're Causey, drivers like Seminara that are relying on points to get into the playoffs, you gotta race smart here. I know you want to win, but you got a big picture race as well. LaPrade now jumps from the top down to the bottom. Dante gonna get left out to dry. Is he'll cover Kelly Causey.
He's try to block, and
oh,
right
not
there.
gonna be able to do it here. Kelly's gonna get to his right rear. Coming around to 2 laps to go.
Side by side could bring that small little third pack up there.
I was about to say, how do you big picture race when you're leading this thing with like 4 to go? Like, the big picture is the trophy tonight.
He's got to get up there and side draft. He's got to get up there and side draft next to him.
Side draft doesn't exist. You could door bang him to try and stall some momentum. But I think Causey is clear here going into turn 3. Causey looking for some redemption from a few weeks ago when he was leading, coming to 2 to go, under pacing, ran out of fuel, and Chuck McClure's coming to pit lane in the 17. Not sure if maybe he also might have gone with a can of fuel there after the stack up on the entrance of pit road. But white flag is in the air. We were photo finished at the line there coming to the stripe.
Inside lane has more cars, but that other pack is now here and on the outside.
Robert Breedlove, Pat McCarskey, Rodney Sullins, now they're going to play a factor. Some lap machines. Look at the push. That's going to give that middle line down the back straightaway. Causey is clear. Does he stay middle? Does he jump to the bottom?
He couldn't jump to the bottom. If he did, the 88 would get such a run.
Still dead even through 3 and 4. This is going to come down to the tri-oval.
Here they come.
LaPrade, Causey, 2 drivers trying to at least point their way in, but one could win their way into the playoffs.
And I think it's LaPrade. LaPrade, I think, got it.
Dunn LaPrade is going to pick up his first career Talladega Challenge Series victory.
Where did he finish? Stilling, where did he finish?
Either 5th or 6th, I think.
5th!
Oh,
he got 5th!
Oh, he did!
And the streak lives! Second time this season that a driver...
We need to just interview Schilling, first of all, and just be like, how does this keep happening?
I asked him that last week. He doesn't know. Second time this season that second time this season that a driver will get their first career win in this series. There you see Dante Ricci. He played a big part in La Prade being out in front for a good portion of the end of this run. La Prade leading 25 laps here this evening, and he will be doing burnouts for the very first time here in RTG, at least in the Talladega Challenge Series side. We saw Bob Dixon get his first career win at this very racetrack a few weeks ago. Dun La Prade, second driver to capture his first checkered flag in the series. And now we wait for the calculations. Schilling's streak stays alive, finishes in the top 5 in all 8 regular season races. He will also wrap up the regular season championship, as Tim Knopfsker finished outside of the top 20. So 15 extra bonus points will be headed to the number 4 when the playoff points are reformatted. But La Prade, he was in line to point his way in. This checkered flag solidifies him a spot into his first postseason berth.
First full season, that's pretty impressive.
Absolutely. Take a look at the finishing results. We will wait to see how they calculate into who has advanced, who is going to be just short. Kelly Causey with the runner-up finish, I feel like he'd be in good shape to point his way into the top 12. Joe DeSpirito, second straight week that he'll finish on the podium off the heels of his victory last week. Grant Wesley going to finish out the regular season, it looks like at least in third place. Brian Schilling will keep the top 5 streak intact with 5th. Dante Ricci, great run in 6th. Seminara will finish in 7th. Was that enough for him to get above the 12th in the standings cut line? Denny Carroll in 8th. Terry Bombard, he finishes in 9th. Was that enough for him to advance? And Randy Waugh is going to complete the top 10. Bernie Mobbs in 11th. Keith Bynum 12th. Shelton in 13th. Glenn Harris 14th. Josh Metallic came in just ahead of the cut line. Was 15th enough to keep him in the top 12. Dennis McCarthy will finish 16th with Farrell, Paglia, Godfrey, and Garrett, your top 20. Mike Mangialardi will finish in 21st. He was the cut line driver, and a lot of drivers behind him in points finished ahead of him, including Bombard, La Prade, and Causey. Don't know if 21st is going to be enough to hang on for Mangialardi or not. We'll have to wait and see. Sandoval, first car 1 lap down in 22nd, but I believe he'll be locked in on points. Knopfsker's locked in on his 2 wins as he finishes 23rd. Breedlove, Makarski, the rest of the top 25. Rodney Sullins came in 9th in points, and he'll finish 26th. We'll see where he's going to be when it's all calculated. Cy Jones in 27th. Bob Dixon was 13th in points. He was, I believe I said 25 points ahead of the cut line. He'll finish 28th. We'll see if his win still keeps him in wild card range. Hagelin, Hewlick, the rest of the top 20, and then Brian Ross and Graham McDonald, Chuck McClure were the last drivers to finish the race. The rest of these drivers out, including Roberts, Balser, Elliott, Negron, Jeremy Jeffries. He was inside the top 12, but the engine failure will take him out of playoff contention. Craig Hagley out of the race as well, as he was 5th in points coming to this one. We'll see if he was able to have enough of a cushion to stay in, and Billy Elliser will finish in the 40th position. Driver not listed here will be Richard Martin, who will finish in 41st place. Schilling will win the winner's side of the bracket challenge. He will now await his opponent that we will find out in the next 3 weeks or so. So things going right for that 4-car. And we will now head into our FRM post-race wind down, give a little bit of time for the point standings to be able to be put together and find out who the at least 12 drivers, maybe more, will be to compete for this season's championship. Let's see if we can dial up some of our podium finishers. Let's go down and see if we can get a hold of the driver that we had in victory lane last week. Finishes 3rd place here tonight. Let's dial up Joe Despirito.
User was moved to your
Hey
channel.
Joe, it's the guys up here in the FRM booth. You got a copy?
Gotcha, guys. How you doing?
Man, I'll tell you what, when we talked to you last week, you said, I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to go out there, try and win races since I know that I mathematically am not going to be able to compete for the championship. Had a shot at 2 in a row here tonight. Lot of movement up there at the front, lot of blocking going on. What little more did you need to be able to get around those top 2?
I don't know, man. It was going back and forth, bottom lane, top lane. I couldn't figure out what was the right lane to be in, so I just decided to pick one at the end and just push whoever was in front of me as hard as I could. And ended up being Dunn LaPrade. I think that was his first win, so congrats to him. And was getting good push from behind from Schilling and Bob Seminara. And yeah, we were moving. So yeah, I couldn't figure it out. It was switching so fast every other lap.
You call them pushes. Visibly, they looked like shoves from a spectator point of view, as really a lot of really good bumping to get all the different lanes moving, which has led to some really good racing here the last couple of times we've come to this racetrack. But talk about the scenario that you're in based on the rest of the scenarios around you, because you know, you've been in situations as well where you've had to point your way into the playoffs, or you've had to, you know, get maybe a last-minute win to advance into the playoffs. All that type of stuff taking place around you. With the scenario that you're in, where you're able to just go out there, be aggressive, win races, how do you balance that with the drivers around you and the different situations that they're in?
Yeah, just doing the best you can, and I'm seeing who's needing help in the points and this and that, and I'm just going out there racing aggressive because I'm kind of out of the points. Yeah, just going out there having fun, man, and doing the best I can. Just trying to go back to back, but couldn't do it.
Well, having fun for sure. As you said, almost pulled off that 2 in a row, but back-to-back podium finishes here to end off the regular season. Great performance out of this 24 car here tonight. Good execution on pit road, putting you up there in that lead pack with a shot of picking up your second win on the season. Joe, before we let you go, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Yeah, I want to thank the guys at RTG, the admins here on Thursday, Josh, Tim, Rodney, you guys at FRN. You guys always do a great job every Thursday night for us. I want to thank some of the sponsors here, Race LM, Dixon Bros, Ultimate Garage Floors, Mark Paglia. I want to thank all everybody watching at home, my family, my work buddies, Elsie and Dan. And yeah, that's it. Appreciate it, guys.
Joe DeSpirito, third place performance here tonight off the heels of his victory last week at Talladega. We head back to Talladega Superspeedway next week to begin the playoffs. So look maybe for 2 in a row at the venue when we go to Alabama. Best of luck there. Congrats on the good run here tonight.
Thanks. Good night, guys.
User was moved out of
Well,
your
we're
channel.
not going to look at the point stands. I'm sure they're calculated. We're going to wait just a little bit here before we end up refreshing the page to see who's in, who's out. We'll leave the anticipation here as we get ready to dial up our second place finisher, Coach Kelly Causey.
User was moved to your
Hey, Kelly,
channel.
the guys up here in the FRN booth, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, man, I mean, kind of feel like you were owed one from a few weeks ago when you weren't quite able to make it on fuel. Had a shot here tonight to win your way into the playoffs. I mean, the top 5 more than likely would have you pointed into a postseason spot, but hey, extra bonus points certainly would help out as well. Let's talk about that final run, those final 3 laps. You're leading the middle line, 74 is leading the inside line. You guys were deadlocked, like it seemed nobody was able to get an advantage. What is that like from your point of view, knowing that you got to rely on the pushes behind you for the momentum, and what can you as the leader of that line do as well to be able to advance your lane ahead of the inside line?
Well, I knew that he had a good pusher behind him, and I had Grant behind me, so I felt real comfortable in it. I was where I wanted to be honest with you, but after I went back and kind of looked at it there towards the end, the numbers kind of went on the bottom side. But I pinched and Grant pinched as much as we could without causing a wreck, and those guys did a great job holding their line, and it was just couldn't pull it out there at the end, but it was nerve-wracking for sure, and it was great racing. I imagined to announce and to watch.
Absolutely. What about the mentality coming into this race, towards the middle of the race, and ultimately here at the end of the race? Because coming into this one, you were 17th in points. That sounds like you're a long ways away from the cut line, but you were only 13 points below 12th in the standings. Mathematically, finishing up in the top 5 looks like you would have a shot of advancing in, but just in case, the win would be an added security. So, where were you mentally in terms of must-win situation or big picture racing looking for points?
Well, during the start of the race, I felt like that I needed every point I could, of course, but I really was wanting to try to win the race. I thought that was what it was going to take. And Jeremy had done. I hated that for Jeremy for him to blow an engine when he was where he was, because when that happened, it pretty much knocked him out. And so I really was thinking I might could slip in, but my chances improved when that happened to him. And like I say, I hate that for him. It was bad time for that because he's such a great racer and all that. But anyway, I felt a lot more comfortable. I knew the guys that I was chasing. I've got the points open up on the side of my on my other monitor here, so I kind of knew where I had to be, and I knew I was up there. The 74 being in front of me, I really needed to try to be in front of him 2 spots. So when he got the victory there, I was really hoping that I didn't know if I was in. To be honest with you, I really thought I might have been out 1 point, but I guess coming out there and leading that lap one time and then leading a couple helped out.
Yeah, we didn't even document about the fact those bonus points for leading the lap can play a huge part here in the regular season finale as to drivers being either above or below said cut line. You led 4 circuits here tonight. We look at momentum near the end of a regular season, and a lot of times we'll see drivers ride that wave of momentum into the playoffs. We've seen you win your way into the playoffs. We've seen you point your way into the playoffs. What kind of confidence do you have in terms of the momentum you've got here with this podium finish heading into the first postseason playoff race at Talladega next week?
Well, what put me behind the 8 ball was I had to go to a baseball game I'm a coach and had to work it, and so that kind of put me behind the 8 ball. But I had 2 good weeks, and so right now I'm feeling pretty good about it. You got the momentum going. I brought the yellow Lake Speed Prestone car back out tonight, and it showed me some good luck. So anyway. I'm excited. I mean, it's going to be a tough battle. I mean, there's some really good race car drivers that are in the mix.
Looking forward to the playoffs, seeing what happens. Congratulations on advancing into the postseason. Maybe we'll see you get that 1 spot better to kick off the playoffs, advance your way early into the round of 8 next week. Before we let you go, Kelly, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Well, like I said, I'd really like to thank Grant. He stayed with me, and he did everything he could. We just couldn't finish it off. And my teammates, Ken, Rodney, and John, and Palmer, who unfortunately wasn't here tonight, he would have had a chance to get in there also. And Paglia. But there's some, thanks to you guys, thanks to RTG. This is a unbelievable series that they have here on Thursday nights, and you guys do a great job. And I appreciate everything y'all do, and it's always look forward to Thursday nights. It's what you look for the rest of the week, no doubt. So see you guys next time.
Absolutely. That's Kelly Causey. He'll be running for a championship trophy here in season 64, advances his way into the playoffs with a second-place performance tonight in the regular season finale at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Congratulations on the great run. Best of luck next week.
Thank you.
Another driver that is going to go
User
playoff
was moved out of
racing.
your
He's
channel.
won his way into the postseason. He's down in victory lane. Let's dial up. First-time winner, Dun LaPrade.
User was moved to your
Hey, Duns,
channel.
the guys up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yes, I do.
Oh, man, hopefully we gave you enough time to be able to catch your breath because, man, you had to work for career win number 1 here in the Talladega Challenge Series. And I was talking just moments ago with Kelly Causey about, the scenario of, you could point your way in, but hey, winning your way in would be a heck of a lot better. Get those bonus points that add security as well. How does it feel to be able to get that final regular season race, go into the playoffs as an RTG winner?
I'm in disbelief. I was just to do it in the final race of the regular season. I mean, kind of one of those Game 7, scenarios that you see in pro sports. I mean, I knew that I could pull my way in, but that would have been with how unpredictable this series is, with everybody, going for the same piece of real estate, win was my only option, and it was not an easy one for sure to try to get up there, try to maintain the lead, or just try to find the right moves, because there have been a couple of times during the race where I made a move where I stayed high or stayed low or went low, whichever, and then I was like, oh boy, I hope I never did not make a fatal mistake. But luckily for me, they were all the right moves that I needed to make, and making that final pit stop. I knew I could do it, but I was, I trust everyone for sure. So I'm, pretty fortunate that that final round of green flag pit stops worked out. And just, clean racing to the end as well. I mean, there was, I was waiting, after, the checkered flag, because it's just how much more, like, how much more focus I had to use to try to, A, hold off, and, B, try to, win, because, if you win, you win the playoffs. So, oh man, I mean, you said I'm out of breath. That's true as well, but I'm also sweating, man. Thank God it's over. I'm just glad to get this win. Just really awesome.
You
You
talk
were
about.
leading that.
Oh, go ahead, guy.
You were leading there with about 5 laps to go. Everything was all calm. Looked like they were gonna run single file. All of a sudden, they start racing behind you. They double zero got ahead of you for a lap or two, and then you guys run side by side for the rest of the race to the finish. How nerve wracking was that? I've been in that situation before, and my palms are sweating. I can imagine it's something similar.
I think a lot of it is just, trying to, just control your own destiny. And, when you're put in a spot like that, when, there's, everything is on the line, trying to win your way in, it's, I mean, it was not easy trying to hold off, like I said, and also trying to, very difficult trying to figure out what their plan is and whatnot. And, when is the right time for them to make a move, whether they're going to go low or high. And I saw that the double zero and others, they went down low, and, unfortunately had to abandon Dante, which, I want to give, Dante, before I go any further, I want to give Dante Ricky a big, big shout out. Kudos to him. Not only has he, helped me to, get this win and, push me into the win, but he's been helping me out a lot all season long. He taught me a lot of just how to, you know, race in this series, race with these guys, and he's definitely a great mentor for sure. And I owe him one big time. But yeah, just it was hard to abandon him for sure. But he obviously, I mean, he even told me, if you have the opportunity, just go for it. Don't worry about me. And that's what I had to do. I had to fend for myself, and then, once Kelly and I got side by side and we were, pretty much even when we got to the white flag, I was just, hoping that the inside would prevail. But it's not as easy, to predict stuff like that, especially with so much experience that these fellow drivers have. So I knew that it was not going to be, it's, yeah, I mean, like I said, with this series, it's unpredictable. So you never know if you're going to end up on the good side or the wrong side of it. And fortunately, that I got the good pushes from behind. It just, held my line and was smooth. And, thanks, I also want to say shout out to the 24 Joe DeSpildo for the push there. But yeah, just, nerve-wracking, like I said, but I'm just glad to get this win. Especially the season that I had. Oh man, it started off slow, but every single race, I feel like that I have got progressively better, and I'm sure y'all have seen it up there on the booth. Y'all seen me, progressively getting better, and I knew my time was gonna come. I just did not think it would come this soon, but this is awesome.
You talk about the unpredictability and the progression that you've made. You know, you consider the fact that not only is this your first win, it's also your first top 5 here on the season. We had a driver coming in tonight that was sitting 5th in points, hasn't scored a top 5 yet this season. It's been, back and forth of drivers taking advantage of hardships of other drivers, and then the following week it kind of flip-flops here. With the fact we're now heading into the playoffs, it condenses down. It goes down, instead of just 8 regular season races, now it's down to 2 races to advance to the next round until we end up eventually getting to the Final Four. With that being said, the progression that you've made, how are you mentally prepared? What kind of strategy do you have in preparation for your upcoming first playoff berth?
Honestly, just progressively get better. Keep doing that, and now just try to find that consistency because there's been quite a lot of times this season, especially the start of it, when I would like start in the bag quite a lot, which helped me out quite a lot for sure. But it was also a big disadvantage for me as well. And obviously, that doesn't mean that you can't win from 40th or 41st or wherever. Anybody can win from any spot. But I just now just I mean, I did not start in the back tonight, and that ended up working out for me in the long run. So I think that's my cue to just quit starting in the bag and just try to hopefully I could start up front. If not, not start last. But yeah, going in the playoffs, it's just all about just sharpening my skills. It's I know these drivers have a lot more experience than I do, so it's going to be really fun, to not only compete but to learn as well what they're able to do. Because I mean, you talk about guys like Tim, Josh, Brian, and others, you know, drivers who have won either this season or before. They've done this a long time than I have, so I'm, really looking forward to a battle with them going into the playoffs and learn a lot from them as well. And just take it one race at a time. That's what I keep telling myself this whole season. And like I said, the progression I've made, it's pretty obvious for sure. And I just hopefully that I can keep up with that momentum going to the playoffs. I think I definitely have the momentum, at least on my side. I definitely feel a lot more better to now that I not only got this win, but I know that I can race up front and be a challenger as well. So that's it's definitely going to be a fun one going to the playoffs. But like I said, one race at a time. That's all I keep telling to myself.
Well, we look forward to seeing what you're able to do. Your first appearance in the playoffs, your first victory in the Talladega Challenge Series here tonight. Congratulations on a job well done. Before we let you get back to your celebrating, though, we're going to hand the microphone over to you for some victory lane. Thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Well, like I said, I just want to thank Dante, for the help. I definitely owe him one for sure. The 24 as well. Everybody in this league, all the drivers, shout out to all of you for being fantastic. Shout out to everyone watching at home. Shout out to Bones, the league owner. Hopefully, I didn't butcher that. But also shout out to you guys for broadcasting this race. And, yeah, shout out to all of you guys for broadcasting the race, and shout out to everyone for making me a better driver in this deal.
Well, that's done the Prad. He's going to go playoff racing in his first full-time season here in the Talladega Challenge Series. Best of luck there. Go enjoy this victory, and look forward to seeing what you're able to do when the playoffs begin next week.
Oh, y'all know I'm going to enjoy it. Thank you all.
Done the Prad's second
User
driver
was
this
moved out of your
season
channel.
to pick up his first win in the series. An interesting point of note, he talked about the fact that he actually started up at the front here for this one, started third. I looked back, that's his best start in the last 6 weeks. Prior to that, his best start was 39th. So, yeah, maybe if the random qualifying draw puts him up towards the front, he's going to have a lot better luck here.
I was gonna say, that's just luck of the draw for qualifying, pretty much.
All right, so I did not refresh the page. I waited. We're finally now going to announce the drivers that are going to compete for this championship officially. There will
Finally.
be 13 drivers that are going to compete for the championship this season. 12 getting in on points, regardless if they won or not. One driver getting in with a victory inside of the top 20. Brian Schilling's going to win the regular season championship, 32 points over his nearest competitor, which will be the defending champion, two-time winner, Tim Nofsker.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's obvious with all of his top 5 finishes.
Yeah, pretty much. 8 top 5s in 8 races. Grant Wesley, former winner on the season, is going to finish 3rd. Chuck McClure will finish in 4th. Ulysses Sandoval will make his first playoff appearance of his career, as he'll finish the regular season out in 5th. Mark Paglia will bring it in 6th. Donnie Garrett, former winner on the season, finishes 7th. LaPrad's going to jump up 7 spots in the standings from 15th to 8th. So he didn't even have to win his way in. He could have pointed his way in, but he'll have extra bonus points as well. He was 8th. Craig Hagley, he dropped 4 spots from 5th down to 9th, but he will hang on for a postseason position. Rodney Sullins lost a spot, but he will get 10th. Kelly Causey's runner-up finish advanced him 6 spots in the standings. He'll be 11th, and the final playoff position on points will go to Josh Metallic, 1 point ahead of Terry Bombard for the final points-paying playoff spot.
And that was just one position.
One position. Metallic finished the race in 15th. Terry finished in 9th. If one finished one position lower or higher, it would have probably been a tie, and we would have had 13 drivers point their way in. The only other driver that will advance in will get the 13th spot via a wild card position. Bob Dixon will remain in the top 20 in points. He finishes out the regular season 17th in overall standings. His win will lock him into the playoffs, so 13 drivers will begin the road towards the Elite 8, 2 races starting next week at Talladega Superspeedway. A lot of former champions in that group, but a lot of underdog stories there as well with Sandoval, LaPrade, Hagley. Keep an eye on these guys because, as you heard LaPrade say, and I think we've overused the word the entirety of the season, the unpredictability, that factors into who might be advancing into the next round of the playoffs in 3 weeks' time.
Yep, and it's going to be a good one, too, and I can't wait to watch this playoffs unfold.
I'm right there with you on that one. The last couple of races leading up to it was pretty exciting. I can only imagine how the actual playoff races are going to go.
And a lot of times, too, when the playoffs begin, it's the playoff drivers. They seem to step up their A game, and they end up winning a majority of the playoff races. We'll see if that kicks off next week. If you win next week, you're into the round of 8. A lot of drivers may be looking at that race and that racetrack as must win. Going to be a lot of fun when we go to Talladega Superspeedway to kick off the Season 64 playoffs. Well, congratulations to Don LaPrade on the victory tonight, first of his career. He will be going playoff racing along with 12 other drivers. Next week, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday night, the playoffs begin here for the Talladega Challenge Series Season 64, the road towards crowning a champion. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into our coverage here tonight. If we don't see you on Thursday night, also join us on Wednesday night as we'll be bringing you coverage, the continuation of the season for the 2025 Esports Oval League's Grind Cup Series, as they will be taking to their first road course stop of the season at the Chicago Street Course. The green flag will be flying at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well. And again, next Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be here to continue on RTG, the start of the playoffs. For myself, Seth Cole, for Kyle Matthews, for Michael Norman, thanks for joining us here on this Thursday evening. We'll see you guys next week as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed